came into a mutual agreement based on my schedule and based off of what it actually was, that I should not be involved, just because it's too personal for me. Like, I will want to help somebody more so by keep it going. You know, like, stay in contact. They're like, no, cut it off. It's done. You know, they did whatever they needed to do.
I can take it with you.
Yeah, we don't do that either.
Bring it somewhere else.
Well, speaking of, are there any concerns before we actually get started?
Do you have any?
I don't want anything to attach to me.
Say a St. Michael's prayer at the end.
What is St. Michael's?
I'll do a St. Michael's prayer with you
Okay.
before you leave.
All right,
By all
thank
means.
you.
So I'm not a religious person, but I'm not going to, you know, like, oh my God, don't do that. But again, there are also things in my bag, just so you know, that kind of keep things at a nice even keel. So when I first started this 3 years ago, things were going home with me. You guys were bringing people with you that you didn't know about, and they were going home with me because I have the devices.
Oh, wow.
I also have epilepsy, so it was influencing my seizures. It was not a good deal. So my wife started calling all my psychic friends and saying, you got to send some shit to Nick. Like, he's not giving up on this. Like, this is what he's been wanting to do for a while. We got to keep him safe. So again, there are things inside my bag. I go through a whole ritual every 6 months under a full moon, the whole nine. Like, trust me, I do everything I can to try to keep us safe. So no worries. And they're going back home with you. They don't want to come home with me. So, if you brought them, they're going back. All right. So first,
Don't leave without talking to me.
yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not gonna. You know, I'm not a religious person. I was raised Orthodox, but I completely understand religion. Of course, you can't talk about the afterlife every single night and not understand that people have belief systems.
Yeah.
So again, you guys want to do a prayer before, after, in the middle? It doesn't bother me whatsoever.
Oh, I'm just only going to do it after so nothing follows us.
Okay.
But if you get scared and run and you hear something behind you, don't worry, it's going to be...
Okay.
I guarantee it.
I'm just saying close to you.
Yeah.
All right.
As I start assigning your devices, you're going to have questions. Hang on to them. This is just the intro. The next stop we're going to do is more of a hands-on. I'm going to answer most of the questions you're probably going to have. Imagine I've been doing this for 3 years teaching, but been ghost hunting for 10. So again, I've been doing this a long time, so bear with me. First device we're going to be using is thermal imaging. Why would I want thermal imaging during a ghost hunt?
So you can see the...
It detects
Cold.
heat and cold.
Right, so we're looking for cold spots. It's the old adage. It is true. So, again, this is a FLIR Pro 1. What does that mean for you guys? This is what firemen use to actually help save people. This is the real deal. This is not a phone app. So, we're looking... first off, you should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy?
Oh, yeah.
That means I'm the hottest thing in the picture. Sorry, guys. So, you're not a bridal party, but it still works. Bridal parties suck that shit up. So, but anyway... with that said, we're literally looking for blue and black spots to kind of move on their own. Either take shape or start moving.
Which would be cold.
Right. So it's set up to white hot, black cold. There's also... Man, you guys are going to have me talking all night. This is a good group. Normally I'm like pulling teeth with people. I'm like, come on guys, this is interactive. You signed up for this. So there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen that is showing us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So the reason why I want that in there is going to help direct your eye when you get this video back.
Okay.
So we're going to do a few starts and stops with this because as great as this hardware is, the software sucks. Okay. So if we record for too long, Michael, I'm going to say let's go ahead and let's shut it down for a few minutes and kind of give it a break. I'm going to splice all the videos together anyway, so you guys will have one video to watch. Obviously, you'll recognize the locations. I know it's funny to watch, but it is super cool when you guys can blow it up on YouTube on your TV screens and say, look at that shit right there. Look at the marker he gave me. Now, I will tell you, I only capture about 4 to 6 markers out of this per year that actually, like, I can consider, without a doubt, it is paranormal. I mean, other things are questionable, but 4 to 6, average. So, with that being said, I've already had 2 this year alone. Like, it's only April.
With this?
With this.
Okay.
On the tours.
Okay.
Like, craziness. Like, can't deny what we actually saw. And it was absolutely nuts. And I will kind of point out a few things when in the spaces that we're at. Where I will talk to each one of you individually and say, on your device, in this space, I normally capture things like this. So you're going to be our cameraman all night long. So you're going to hold it horizontal just like this. Are you making him nervous? Stop it. He's going to be fine. So...
We have a 16-year. We have 2 16-year-old sons.
Well, yeah.
You're
It's
going
just the
to
way he
basically
said it.
be
He's
holding
like,
it with
oh,
your
God.
right hand to keep the camera on your... Because obviously the camera is right here. You can see my hand just blocked it. So even when I say we're going to restart it back up again, make sure you're in this position before you hit that record button again. Otherwise the video is going to be sideways and then I got to give them all your cell phone number and it's not good. So again, always keep it horizontal.
Yes, sir.
You're the man. You got this. All right, guys, go have fun. No, I'm kidding. Don't worry. We got more. I got a whole team of 10 set up in here. Let's see. How do I want to go about this? You're kind of my chatty Cathy, which is good. Just why I have you guys come in early. I'm a writer. You're all characters to me. So, spirit boxes. We're going to be using 2 different styles of spirit boxes tonight. Actually, I might do 3. I might actually carry one with me. Just because we're a smaller group and I got a new device in the bag that I'm always looking for playing and stuff. And I'm always upgrading. So, like next week, I literally have 2 more devices coming in that'll replace 2 more things inside the bag. Just, I'm always upgrading. It's all tax write-off. So basically, I'll
There
just
you go. That's right, man.
So, spirit boxes, what the hell are they? They're basically the way we're going to communicate with the dead. So, with this guy,
It goes through 1,000 channels and then picks up different signals.
this is going to go through every FM radio station hundreds of times tonight. It's going to just basically rotate it. You can see the numbers moving on the screen. So, with this particular spirit box, it is going to record the entire session. Now, this is normally the white noise you would hear on your TV shows, right? And then the host will tell you the BS he thinks and you heard in the middle of it, and he has to tell you because you can't make it out either.
Right.
This is slowed down. Those disembodied voices you guys catch, see on TV, those are also very rare. I capture, again, about 4 to maybe 7 of those per year that are clear as day. I call those Class A's. I don't have to tell you what it says. That's what I mean by Class A. So if I have to tell you what it says, I throw it out. It's garbage. So I'm all about like the actual solid proof. And I have software to be able to analyze the recordings from these guys to see how many radio stations did it actually go over, like a full sentence that came over. So I have things that have gone over 11, 13, 20, like full sentences. Like you can't make this stuff up. Same voice, kind of going over things. Now, there's another way to use these. You can slow them down, and you can use the radio chatter to convey messages. So that would be like the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials. So that's the way we do this here, because you guys aren't used to listening to white noise for 2 hours at a time. So it gets very daunting, even listening into the style that I have it right now. So for example, when you hear like, buy it now, I want you to drive a Kia today. These are the kinds of things I want you to tell me. No matter how funny you think it might be, there might be one word in that sentence that's going to be relevant to a location, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of us. That's how I know normally when you guys brought somebody with you. So, you're going to have an earbud in. You're going to be the only one to hear it in real time. However, this guy's going to record the entire session for us. It's already recording right now. So, you can mess with the volume all you want to, it will not mess with the recording.
Okay.
I'm going to spot check this again tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you guys all in the analysis, everything she hears in real time, plus all of the things that I find, which is going to be about 20 to 25 markers, whether they're relevant or not. If it is relevant, I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm obviously going to give you the backline. So the other things are there because they stood out to me in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't mean that they don't mean anything. It just means that I don't know a tie to it, or I couldn't find it in my research. So it's just to help you learn how to listen to the recording. You're going to have to undo the twisty tie, and I don't want earbuds back. You look a little worried about this. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, sometimes like I pick a person to use this, and they're like, "Yeah, I use hearing aids," and I'm like, "Okay, sorry, we're gonna pick on somebody else." You know. So again, you just looked a little concerned, like, "Oh shit, what's he giving me?" But I just wanted to make sure there's no hearing, problem that So your volume button is right here. It's a wheel. You can toggle it back and forth. Right now, it's all the way down, so that way when you put your earbud in, it won't be totally shocking. But undo the twist tie. Keep the earbuds because earwax is gross. That's your souvenir. So yeah, I'm that guy. Let's see.
Just clean your ears out, too.
This is the brand new device. So this is also a spirit box. This one works a little bit differently. It's going to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations at the same time. So the reason why it does that is because it gives us a little bit more opportunity of things to actually come through. It's also going to take out all of the white noise. So hopefully the only things we hear out of this are actually going to be terms and phrases. Like you can hear a little bit of static coming through here and there. But hopefully a word will come in through there every once in a while. And so far with this guy, it has been about 75% accurate. I've only had it for about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks roughly. About 75% accuracy has come out of this where I can actually relate it to the person, like location, a person, something going on with one of us. So the only thing that's been very confusing is a name that keeps coming out at the exact same spot that I can't find out who the hell this person is. I've dug and dug and dug and dug and dug. I can't find it, but it's the same name. I've had it 3 times in the past 5 to 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So with this particular guy, the only thing you need to worry about is the mute button on the right-hand side. Every once in a while, because it just got very distracting as everybody was staring at it, and a lot of times I'm going to be giving you history. So I'll say, let's go ahead and mute that spirit box. So the mute button is right here on the side. It's the only button there, and right now it is on mute. So again, you won't need to hit anything else.
So it's right here.
Yep, it's the only button.
You don't want me.
Not yet. We're not going to unmute it yet. So right now it is on mute. But again, a lot of times I'll say, let's get that spirit box up and running, and just kind of see if we can get out. Chris, you're going to be my multitasker.
Okay.
So we need some kind of EMF reader of some
Right.
sort. So you guys have probably seen this guy on television, right?
It's when there's
Yeah.
something around it, right?
Right.
But
So
then-
this is measuring in milligauss. This is one of the devices I'm actually upgrading. I have a one coming in with sound coming in next week.
wow.
So I
So
usually
you
give
know.
this to the little kids because it's my way of debunking things.
Yeah.
So again, if it starts going off, I want to see the readings on my other EMF readers as well to kind of see, like, compare things. So again, just know that this one goes up to 25 milligauss. I know I'm throwing sciencey terms at you, but basically the top number is going to be the same type of reading. It is measuring in the same units of measure, so it's going to be also in milligauss. I do that on purpose so that way I can compare.
Okay.
Anything above 2.5 on that big number, I want to know what's going on. We're going to debunk
Okay.
or prove things that are happening. The reason 2.5 is because that's the second green dot on the one I just put in my bag.
Okay.
So anything above that, I kind of want to know what's going on.
2.5. All right.
The bottom number is ambient temperature. If Michael finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it pretty quickly with the ambient probe right here. He just has to hold his camera still and kind of direct us on where we need to find that cold spot.
Okay.
Then we'll kind of take a look to see if it's actually coming from something man-made or if it's an actual anomaly. So again, I just leave it on in the event that we actually need it. The last thing that it has, oh great, I just screwed it all up. Hang on. You tap any of the buttons on the front, it throws all the systems off. So the last thing that it has is it's called a REM pod, or a motion sensor. You've probably seen these on television too.
Yeah.
So the closer something gets to this antenna, it's going to go off.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the closer it gets, the higher pitch we're going to get. Now I have the range set pretty small. You can see where my hand just barely, I mean, it's maybe an inch to an inch and a half. So again, we're going to kind of use this variably throughout the night. I'll show you more about that at the next location.
Okay.
But just right now, just focus on those red numbers for me.
All right.
All right, now go have fun. No, I'm kidding. Nobody worry yet. So, oh, the one I'm going to use. So, this one, this is another. Oh, no. I guess we're not going to use this since it's going through a reset. I have one on my phone. Don't worry. Got this. Yep, I got this. So, this is another type of spirit box. I love using this guy, and I'm going to show you why here in just a minute. So, this one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen, right? Just kind of like an ovulus, the things you guys see on TV.
Where
Here's-
it picks a random word out of the dictionary.
Correct. Now, the ovuluses that you guys see, if that's even a term,
What?
ovuluses, too many S's, those have 2,048 terms in them. Yes, I'm that guy that knows that number. I have over 9,100 terms in this guy. So, this is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare people. It actually makes noise and growls and does all kinds of stupid shit. I turn that stuff off because we don't need it. Here's why I need it. I need it because it's going to save all those terms to a list and give me timestamps. In the event something is actually relevant out of this list, that's where I know where to watch your videos and listen to your spirit boxes. With your two devices, by the way, they're not recording anything, so I'll have to manually do it. I keep a little notepad with me, so that way I can kind of keep track of what's actually happening. Now this guy, I'm going to clear out the last tour. I don't even know when I actually had to use this. This was back in March. So I'm going to clear that out and start us off fresh. But again, 80% of what comes out of here is bullshit. Doesn't mean anything. It's meant to try to scare you. So it's the other 20% where I'm like, oh, check this out. So kind of thing. So I'm going to leave this running all night long because I'll have to do some hands-on things with you guys as we kind of move out throughout the night. That sucks about that phone. I'm actually kind of glad I did that one last. So, all right. In the event we have to pull something else out, I also have lasers that we use with the IR camera and that kind of thing. So in the event that something that's like really crazy, I'll be pulling some extra equipment out, just so you guys know to kind of test some theories out. All right, so let's talk about why we started here. Again, is this what you guys all thought you signed up for? Because you're all like got very quiet.
I just can't wait. I'm excited.
Me too.
We started at Big John's for a reason. So this place is haunted. Of course it is. Oh wait, I need a drink because if I'm gonna get going, I need a drink. And it's not vodka, it's straight up.
Let's wait for a flash to come out.
I know, right? You would think with the hat and the crazy glasses, I probably would have one.
I thought we were going inside drinking.
What's funny is if somebody shows up to my tour drunk, we all go home.
Really?
One person.
Oh, wow.
I don't play. Like, this is thousands of dollars of equipment.
No, we have the equipment.
Not doing it. Not doing it. And lo and behold, it's funny because I'm not doing refunds. I may text some of the other parties, like, meet me here. We'll start at the end and come backwards just so I can get rid of the drunkens. But at the other token of that, it's the drunks that actually send me a Venmo the next day. Like a big one, as an apology, even though I didn't refund their tickets. It happens all the time.
Wow.
So you can imagine what certain holidays look like for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like St. Patrick's Day, I was surprised. Like, me and my wife talked about it. I'm like, do I even want to work St. Patty's? And she's like, why not? I'm like, because you know what's going to show up. And luckily, I actually did pretty well. Like, Buddy was sober. So anyway, big stuff.
Big John's.
This place used to be owned by a football player. New York Giants, 1947 New York Giants player, Big John Kennedy. This was his place. Obviously, it was established in 1955, because Big John's career was over by then. So this was his bar, and he used to sit in the back. He would actually sit at the bar, kind of keep an eye on things. He would let the bartender know if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. Here's the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John puts down his beer, slams it on the bar, and goes over and starts beating the hell out of these 2 cadets in the front trying to steal his money. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him. John's the only one that got shot. So John gets up, goes back to the bar, says to the bartender, you better get me another beer and go get those 2 guys an ambulance. So John's the only one that got shot. There's the irony of the story. Nobody's dead, right? You think ghosts and hauntings, it's somebody's dead. Here's what's haunting the place, the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even after the renovation of the Big Johns we're now looking at, it's possible that they filled it in. I don't drink, so I don't go in there very often. But even if they did fill it in, Big John's blood is in this building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. That's the paranormal activity, and the only time I've ever gotten EMF readings from this building, other than obviously wiring, is in the front of the building. So kind of take that for what it's worth.
Okay.
This is your heated warning. If anybody starts to feel any of those symptoms, you gotta let me know. It's a big deal. People have passed out on this tour, and at the very last stop, I will tell you a story that's actually relatable to the story. It actually makes sense once I tell it in the space. So, again, it's a huge deal to me. So, just kind of put it on there. Yeah, I hear that humming over there, like, oh man, what is he talking about? So, let's get our mind off our own health, because that's literally the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. Same building. Have you guys taken any other Charleston tours?
No,
No.
No?
just the back. We are tomorrow.
Plantation. Tomorrow we're doing just one in town before we head out.
Okay, every tour guide in town is going to tell you about our big earthquake we had here in 1886. It was like a 7.4 on the Richter. So it's a big deal because this is South Carolina. We're not supposed to have, earthquakes over here. This is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front on the East Bay side. A piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. The previous bar owner, actually, because this wasn't always Big John's, actually used to see shadows in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night when it's closing up. Now, I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof other than his word. The other piece of that is it's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, as I mentioned at the end. So, you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes,
All
we
right,
are.
let's go to this way. We're going to go back to where we
I've
came.
got like this feeling I'm gonna see something and then run.
You'll be
You
fine.
better give him his stuff or you run.
You know what? Hang on to it. Just don't drop it. How about that?
Hold on to it. You gotta run.
As long as I see no children, I don't care.
You want me to go first? Are you scared?
I ain't scared of nothing.
Remember that statement, please.
The only thing I'm scared of are spiders and clowns.
Please let there be a clown on this floor.
Sorry.
If there's a clown, he getting punched in the face.
And then his nose will beep and we'll all laugh. So, alright, so I want you guys to kind of think of we're going to stop here. So think of your time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101, right? So we're going to kind of level up as we go on through the night. This is a very easy spot. You have to imagine when I have 10 people, I have to explain 10 different devices. So this is the big red barn where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. So this is one of the reasons why we use earbuds with the spirit boxes now, because the horses don't like the white noise. So only you get the white noise. They start kicking that metal wall and scare the shit out of all of us. So if you want to be scared, that's the way to do it. We also, when I have the lasers out, because they're pretty bright, and yes, they will set off car alarms. That's how strong they are. I always tell them no lasers on that building whatsoever. He'll spook those ponies.
Yeah.
So the history here is really simple, and I made it that way on purpose, so that way I can show you more about your devices. The history here is, this is where we used to keep the horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it. Whenever I'm telling you the history of any location, I will slow down on certain key words. We have 3 spirit boxes in play tonight, because I have one in my pocket as well. But I was over there, it was 47, New York, Giants, anything relatable to a bar, and the name John. Over here, it's obviously anything relatable to a stable, horses, and then delivery, milk, and eggs. So let's talk about the 3 spirit boxes we're using. Everybody wants to ask the same question to get started. I'm going to kind of give you the heads up. This is not TV. This is not a Ouija board. This is not, is somebody here? Because if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here, right? You guys are all here for actual paranormal proof. You're not going to get it out of yes or no questions. So the next time you guys start watching Zach Bagans, you can all giggle your asses off because that's all he does. So with that said, I would say in a space like this, and we're not going to spend a lot of time here, it's basically just another part of the teaching train, is to ask a question you already know the answer to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're going to be looking, because I have a word list, and listening for the color red. But the two of you are using DJs and song lyrics to convey messages. The word red might not be there. So, fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. What color's the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. Like, that's a direct answer. Because it's it can only be red. However, most of the night I'm going to kind of wait for another piece of a clue to kind of come through to be able to verify what's actually happening. For example, if my word list has the word art on it, and then the number 40 comes through on your spirit box, individually those two terms don't mean anything. Put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see where I'm going with this? I'm always going to look for verification, whether it be an EMF reading that's super sky high for that space, and two phrases that are kind of matching together. And a lot of times tonight, I'm going to be saying, oh, that's a great start, but I want to wait for that extra clue and not reveal the whole piece of what I'm actually looking for. I want to give you guys a genuine experience. So the whole point of this is I'm going to withhold information on purpose. So kind of expect that out of me throughout the night. And again, a lot of the times I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Let me see what else comes up.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we're going to be using those spirit boxes tonight, including the one in my pocket. With your camera, Michael, you're going to try to do two things for us. A little bit of a smaller group of what we're used to, but this is still a decent size for an investigation. Try to keep one of us in view. The reason being is because we're going to be the warmest things out here, so try to keep our skin in view. Because when you have the skin in view and it's, 70 degrees out here, 68 degrees roughly? Yeah. So again, it's one of those, we want that array of color to show up on the screen, so try to keep us in view so it's much easier to find those cold spots. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. Now that's going to be impossible in some spaces, so just do your best. The reason I ask you to do that is because that blue dot that's bouncing around the screen will default to the open sky because it's looking for a surface. There's no surface in the sky. So again, try to keep that, so the sky out and us in, if you possibly can.
So try to keep it leveled.
Yeah. And even some places, if you're pointing down, angled a little bit, as long as there's some skin in view, that could be somebody's hand, somebody's face, neck. None of us are wearing shorts tonight. So again, I thought you were wearing shorts earlier. Did you just change your clothes, dude? I could have swore you were wearing shorts. But actually, this is actually perfect mosquito weather, so it's kind of a good thing everybody's wearing pants, otherwise you would all be bitching at me later on. So there's a reason why I'm still wearing pants, and this is springtime for us. And as far as your device, I'm going to show you more about that REM pod after we go through the history at the next location. Okay. Have you had any volume at all? Are you listening to that? Or has it been on mute the whole time?
I don't know.
Have you heard anything? Do you hear the radio?
No.
Okay. The volume's right here. It's at the top where my thumb is. So just to give you guys kind of a gist on what we're seeing so far, I don't see anything that's relevant with rhythm, deeply, nightmare, when, death, trunk. I don't even know what that's all about. The only thing that really kind of stands out to me is the word congressional, and that's based on our next location. So we'll kind of see if something else pops up with that, so we'll kind of see what goes on there. But so far I've got nothing. Lawmaker, that is definitely, as I mentioned, progressional. Of course, it's going to pop up. So again, let's get away from the ponies and football players. Does everybody have a pretty good gist on their devices now?
Yeah.
All right.
Mine's still muted. Do you want it?
You can unmute it for a few minutes until we get to the next space, just to kind of get used to how it's going to come through. Good, you guys
Let's just
are
put the 5.7 right here.
Perfect.
3.6 right here.
5.7, 3.6.
That went right back to 0.0.
That's why they call it ghost hunting. They don't stand still.
Man, what did I say, 8.7?
You gave me 5.6 and 3.7.
8.7 right before that.
8.7.
Now it's nothing.
Okay, perfect. So, this space, sometimes it starts right when we come in. Yeah. Other times it waits until we're on our way out. Like, hey, you didn't ask us any questions. So again, it's one of those things, like, I used to actually have my group spread out here, but I realized, like, I talk a lot about the other more historical stories. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to cut this one a little bit short just because it's not as exciting as getting to that next full space. So again, very exciting. We actually already had up to 8. So everybody kind of has a concept of those measurements, around your home, behind your television set is going to be about 40 milligauss, 40 to 60 based on how many PlayStations you have. So your microwave running on high and you standing next to it is going to be about 150 milligauss. I have seen over 150 milligauss on the tour. Just so you guys know.
Okay.
That's like dangerous levels. So that's all right, how are you feeling? If you're good, we're going to stay with it. If not, we're going to move. So again, I've seen it in the past. So again, Mom's like, oh crap, what the hell did we sign up for? Keep saying that word dangerous. People are going to pass out on us.
Look, we found the car.
You ought to see the looks on the moms' faces that bring the little ones.
I'm just excited we found the car.
Oh, you're parked here? And you went up and
Yeah,
around?
we're right there. That blue truck is there.
And you were literally like across the street?
Again, don't listen.
GPS does not work very well.
Say something?
Right where we walk in this entrance.
Is that something?
Yes.
Okay.
So luckily, we have the regular audio. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the regular audio. I don't listen to it. I already have the stories memorized. It's going to be up to you guys to be able to find out, and I'm going to try to keep it at least pointed in your direction so it can pick those things up. I do that so that way I can get through the other recordings and kind of make sure we're spot checking on that end. Otherwise, I'm just going to be listening for things in the background of stories I tell every single night. So again, the regular audio, that's another reason why I give you guys my email and phone number, so that way you guys can get in touch with me when you guys find stuff. All right, so welcome to a beautiful space of Charleston. I brought you to a parking lot. How about that? The only thing I'm going to tell you is in this space, people's vehicles are here. If I do like a Andy's coming type mentality and say act casual, you're going to basically act like you're playing on a cell phone. People do not like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be filmed themselves. Now, you guys signed up for this, so sorry, you're getting filmed. But people walking through their vehicles, I'm going to say, Michael, act casual. So by that point, it's just a cell phone, which is the reason why I use a cell phone for it. So the other camera's it's a lot harder to hide. It has mechanisms and lights and craziness. So I know, it gets nuts.
Well, you picked a teenager, so.
Yeah, that's why I do it. And a lot of times I'll give that to a little kid. Like I told you, I get like 6-year-olds on the tour. It keeps them
Said
occupied.
you're an expert.
Know what I'm doing. So the 6-year-olds, if I give them that camera, they're perfectly fine with all the history all night long because it's like they're watching a video game. They've never seen anything like it. Half of you have never seen anything like that before. So if I give it to a little kid, they're the ones that actually capture the best stuff, believe it or not, because they're way down here.
Yeah.
They have no idea what the hell they're doing. It's great. That's actually, I had an 8-year-old girl capture the last thing, and it came out of that big red barn. I mean, it was a person walking, and the coldest thing on that person, the face. I had it. So I mean, she was a little wiggly, but but I have stills from it because I can freeze frame and take a screenshot. So anyway, why are we here? This is a parking lot. This space used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. So, spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. Your answers will come from the spirit boxes. This is the first space where I'll withhold information purposely. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. Now you guys see why I need those extra secondary clues. I need to know who the hell we're talking to. There's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track of that. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution. Do you see why the word congressional and lawmaker stood out to me?
Yeah.
So again, I'm already kind of looking at, like, all right, I got 2 terms relative. Hopefully Charles's name will pop through. Whether or not which one it is, we'll have to decipher. We usually go by their birthday, if something like that pops up. So, the son and the nephew signers of the Constitution, and I'm going to drop it there because I hate politics more than you guys. So, we're going to move on to Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. And when I say today's standards, and you guys want to ask her later on how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be from the colonial times that she came from of like 12 and 14. It's today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because her husband, Charles, was over double her age. So it sounds kind of creepy, but it's not as bad when I actually reveal the numbers to you. So she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time. He was trying to get her back home to England. She was staying here. She got married instead. She was right. Dad did not die right away. So he starts sending her gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for a few hours. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise. So this is where it all started. as far as being a major, cash crop for us. Now, when she got it, she had no idea what to do with it. So she had to learn from her slaves, which were on property. The slave properties were in the back, on how to keep it cultivated. Now, these slaves came from the Gullah culture, which means they come straight from Africa. They're basically agricultural themselves. So once she learned how to keep it going, she moved it to a plantation just north of here, calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. That's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here. So, Eliza is the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Same year. First wife Eliza dies, 1744, January. 5 months later, he marries the Eliza that planted the indigo. So, ironically, they both have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to find out which Eliza you're trying to talk to, ask for her maiden name. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. It's obviously some kind of tragedy. You can take your pick, but I'm waiting for the clues to actually come through. If you actually get the answer, then ask what year did that happen. Notice that none of these are yes or no questions. They're very specifics. Eliza's children. I told you there's at least one. There are more, but I'm not going to tell you how many. You ask her. You can also ask what their names are, but that's it. How many and what their names are. The reason being is because there's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear too much, all activity will stop if we've had any yet. We just won't see anything. It'll go down to zero, and it'll be a dead space.
Got chills. Whew. Yeah, I just got real bad chills.
Eliza's death is where she's really open. You can ask her anything you want to about her death. How old she was, where she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Like, if that doesn't tell you how important that lady was, I don't know what's going to. Now, I do have something new that I'm trying in this space, so we're going to see how it works for us tonight. We're going to use a trigger object. I have here a vial of indigo seeds. It took 6 weeks to come in, and were very expensive.
Right up.
So we're going to use it, and we're going to kind of see what goes on. Your other hand is full, but yours is not. So I usually give this to a spirit box to kind of see how it's going to go. So again, it's one of those pieces that the other night when my daughter was here on the tour, it went really, really well. Because obviously me and my daughter, I mean, I'm here every night, but my daughter's here quite a bit as well, so she probably recognized her. We actually had quite a bit come through. So when you're, if you want to try to communicate, like, hey, I'm holding some indigo, I know this is what made the blue dye, can you tell me a little bit more about it, or whatever question you want to come up with. If you go rogue with your questions, by all means, make sure it's not a yes or no question, and make sure it's something I can prove. Things about the slaves I cannot prove. I don't have any records, and there are no records. There's a few names mentioned in her writings, a little bit here and there, but they're first names only, and it's a lot of digging to try to find out what those are. So we are going to explore the space. We're not going to go in between vehicles. Trying to think. Oh, let me check my word list real quick, just to kind of see what's going on before we kind of spread out a little
You
bit.
say ask questions. Are we supposed to just ask these questions in our head?
However you are comfortable.
Okay.
So if you want them in your head, you want to say them out loud, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So again, this is your tour. You do whatever you feel like you need to do to make things happen.
Okay.
Because it goes on the payroll. I can't make them do anything.
Okay.
So I will tell you, I have the word stable. Just showed up. Very cool. I have the word alcohol. Big John's. I have the word husband. So there's my answer as to which lawmaker. Most of the Pinckneys were politicians of some sort. So I can't remember exactly the position this gentleman held, like the husband, but I know he was in like the Democratic Republican Party. So again, it was a mixed party back then. So again, that's kind of my answer, but I still want a little bit more.
So
Like
these spirits are coming from this thing. They're the word. They're the ones. The words in there.
Essentially, that's the game we're playing. That's why
Okay.
only 20% of it's going to be valid.
Okay.
The other 80%, I mean, this thing's going to spit out words all the time.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's why I throw out the 80%. But I still give you guys the full list. Why? Because something might be relevant to you, and you just didn't, express that during the tour. That's why I give you the whole list. So, I mean, I've had people contact me back or text me, like, you had the words cat and radar show up. My grandma's around me all the time, and my cat's name is Radar. It was probably her letting me know she was nearby. That kind of thing. So, again, that's why I just give you the whole
Okay.
list. If
Gotcha.
it's relevant to the stories, great. If it's relevant to you, only you know that. Look at that, I just said helpful, because yes, I'm very helpful. All right. Have you been hearing anything else? You heard you're the expert so far. Have you heard anything else? No? You'll get there.
I just had a name pop in my head for some reason.
What was it?
Lenora?
No. I don't know who that is.
I don't know anybody by that name.
Did it just pop up? Something you heard, or is it?
Yeah, like a.
This went up to like 3.8 when you said that. I don't know. it's
So
too hot.
have you had anything above 3.8?
Not in here.
Okay. So in this space at this point, we're going to let it escalate because you're going to get a lot of readings in here. The other piece of this is that they've never done an archaeological dig here. There's nothing in here to make it go off. That coil of wires back there is live, but it is not strong enough to come all the way here. Oh, I do have to work with you on that REM pod because we haven't touched that guy yet. All right, guys, spread out, start recording. But again, keep mindful of people walking to their cars.
Okay.
Fair enough? All right, so, Chris, let's get this guy started.
So do I just hit the record button?
It's already on. You've been
Okay.
recording this whole time.
Oh wow.
I wanted it that way. All right, now flip the device around to the back. I'll be honest, I only use this guy. There's a little flap right here. Lift up into the air. The one on the right is the one you want closest to. Like it into the one. See it? You're on. All right, so you just turned. This mic is going to create an EMF field around the antenna. Okay. So it's a different type of EMF, so it's not being measured here for false positives. So two different things. They can work independently. So anything that interrupts an EMF field is going to cause some color to show up. So your motions are going to make it go as you walk around, as you change steps here. It's going to jolt. There's a laser set on the right inside of your fingers. There's 4 buttons. Bottom button, and then your right hand press release. So you want to reset it every time it goes on. If it goes back to the same color, obviously the one kind of positive view. So you probably have a positive reading. So I'm trying to eliminate any false positives. So that's the way you're going to use it. I also use this as a call and answer. For example, if you notice there are different color pressure buttons. There's different colors in purple, blue. I would usually ask for those. Why do I do that? Because they're kind of realizing to make it all right. You're focused, concentrated. What do you got? Have you heard anything?
Random words.
What do you got? What are the words?
I heard marriage.
Okay.
I heard babies.
Oh, okay.
Burn down.
Okay. All relevant so far. I don't make shit up. What else? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. So again, this might not be an in-the-moment type thing for you. And you might have to wait. Just be a nice, slow cameraman. The slower you are, the easier it is to find these things. So, you got this. How's yours coming? Anything popping out of there?
I think just I can hear voices going on.
Okay.
Can I hold this?
Kind of see it, kind of sparks anything. And that's the device my daughter had that night. Just so you know.
What am I listening for? Just something that's very recognizable.
Anything you can make out. Because your device is going to give you a lot of kind of mentality. If you can make out something, usually your first instinct is what you heard. So always go with your gut. First thing you hear.
They went to 214 and 157. Then 157.
157.
As soon as I said her name over there, it just
214 is probably the highest I think I've ever heard on that.
Really?
Before that, it would have been 198.
okay.
So 214?
Then it went down to 157.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like those are, it's like the highest, literally, in my 10-year
Really?
career
Oh my
that I've
God.
ever seen. 214. This is me excited, guys. Just so you know.
They went real, right when I was at that hole right there.
It's just all.
Okay.
have anything to do with wheat?
This location?
Yes.
No.
Or roses?
Did you hear roses? So that'll make sense at another location that's literally a block away. We're gonna talk about that. I want to see if something else pops up around it. But again, you heard wheat as well. I'm gonna look to see if they've ever had wheat in their crops because they didn't just raise it. They did other things too. So I'll see if wheat was actually part of that. I'm not positive. I want to say I'm like 75% sure that they did, but I don't want to put that pin in it and say yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the roses thing, like I'm just wondering, it's so close to another word that isn't in our language that she was involved with. And I'll explain, remind me to explain that. I want to see if something else pops up. It's pretty interesting. Any other readings?
No. I know, man. I know. It is amazing. It's best.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing. So usually when we get things out of that, like so far it's been an average of 10 to 12 very solid tones together. That's been the average of the past 5 years. When it comes through, it's without a doubt. It's unmistakable. So just so you know, like when you hear something, that's why I said your first instinct, it is what it is. Anything crazy going on there?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure you're still recording. You're good to go. What else you got? So far, you've been pretty good. Like this is not an easy task you have.
I'm just listening.
Okay.
I'm trying to pick up on words that I think jump out. I did just hear kind of like a, I don't know if it was advertisement,
Okay.
but it sounded kind of politician-y.
Okay. Yeah. Too much of a, and I don't say coincidences or I don't believe in coincidences, but at the same
Do they
token,
do politician on the radio?
they will.
Oh, I don't listen to it.
Especially if there's a CNN thing going on or some kind of story that they're doing. I mean, it's 9:39. I listen to Sirius.
I don't listen to radio.
What? I think it's my hand. My hand pops.
Yeah, little guys.
214 is still blowing my mind. That's why the regular audio, that's where you have to turn it up a little bit as you're listening to it. And it's an MP3, so you can rewind it as much as you want. I heard that, is what I just got out of that.
You heard that?
Right. Yeah, it's not easy. Let's try the antenna. Let's go ahead and pull the antenna up a little bit. Maybe get a little bit better reception. Yeah, that's it. It's real. First night I used that, I gave it to an older gentleman, and he held it like a cell phone all night long. It was hysterical. Like he was on a business call. It was great. Another minute. Hello, Eliza. Can you make it go to purple? Get a little bit closer.
Eliza, can you make it go to purple or blue?
Has it gone anything other than the green? Oh, how did it go to like the red?
I saw every color. Eliza, are you here with me?
That's a yes or no question. I'll catch him every time. That's the writer in me. Everybody got anything else coming through?
Coming up to blue.
Okay.
17.5. 3.3.
I heard pray.
You get a lot of religious terms here. A lot.
And bag.
Beg, like B-E-G.
Yeah. Bag. And then knees.
Yes. All right, we have enough. All right, we got a lot going on here. You're doing amazing. So let's go back to where we started. So that way we can kind of.
It's flashing a lot now.
Of course it is. You're moving. Reset.
I reset it every time.
But if you continue moving, it'll continue to go off. I will take the indigo back. I believe Chris has
Yes,
it.
I've got the
You
indigo.
guys kind of passed it around. By the way, if you guys want to try different devices, just keep them among your party. So if you guys want to switch, or if the two of you want to switch out, by all means do so. I want you to try different things. So with that said, especially when I get my big parties of like 4 and 5 people, I'm like, intermingle them. Like, you're here for a good time. So let's kind of get into this. You guys have a lot going on. I'm very excited, obviously, about the reading that you have, 214 and 157. They're huge.
It's weird. I can hear the different voices, but I can't hear
Can't make
what
them
they're
out.
saying. No.
Again, when they come up, they're going to be clear as day.
Okay.
For example, one of the last stories we talked about is piracy. And I think it was the second or third night we were using that, and the word pirate came through clear as day. Now,
Okay.
all of us heard it, but the audio from the thermal imaging verified it. Because that was the first thing I did when I got home, is I went straight to the video to see if we actually caught it, and it came through clear
Hear
as
that?
day. I did. And I was talking over it.
Okay.
I talk a lot. You got to shut me up every once in a while. All right, so to not keep you distracted, let's go ahead and push that antenna in and mute it. You can stop your video, kind of give your hands a rest for a little bit. We probably got a good 45 minutes to an hour worth of video so far, because you guys all showed up early, and I appreciate that.
Would you let me still leave it recording then?
No, let's not record here. You can
how
leave
do
it
you-
on.
Okay.
There should be a circle on there instead of the square. Yeah, go ahead and tap the square.
How you doing?
Right. Let's get everybody up here. You definitely want to keep your camera not pointed at the gentleman on break.
I pointed at the ground.
Yeah, I mean, normally I say with this particular location, you want to try to shoot it one way or the other, but those guys are on break. Any names come through in the way?
I heard a man and a woman talking.
Talking?
Yeah, I heard it too.
This is like a
I know. I couldn't hear the music.
We got the name Dawn. The name Anna. So we are in a quiet area, so I'm going to have you move just because of we're next to a hotel and somebody could actually be in those rooms. So we're not here for very long either, but I do love this space. So where are we? We're in Lodge Alley. What is this place? When we crossed the last crosswalk coming over, where that guy actually butted out into the crosswalk and we had to walk around him? Yeah, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. This is we're inside those original walls now, and this is one of the first streets we ever had. So that's why I like to bring you down here. April's like, oh man. So here's the weird thing. There's a couple of things that go on. First off, again, I have a full list of residents. What did you get?
John.
That you did. The two names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Here's why. People used to live down here. These two giant buildings that we're walking in between, they weren't here. Little tiny shotgun houses. When I say people live here, I'm only talking like 2 to 6 people at a time. So when I say shotgun houses, that's like 1 to 2 room houses, if you're unfamiliar. So these were poor folk. Now, Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. That's the only significance that I have. That's 2 out of 5 people that I get the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. Now, last night, here's where it got weird. I'm going through the data this morning for last night's tour, and I hear Ben Simmons. So I'm like, okay, Yeah. Now, first off, I'm looking for Ben because I'm in that 6 to 7 week. So Ben is a common name, but not super common on the radio. Here's where Simmons comes in. This used to be called Simmons Alley. So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I jumped up out of my chair. Like, my wife works in the office next to me because she works from home now, and she's texting me, keep it down. You know? Yeah, like I was like, you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, Benjamin and John, every once in a while I get a third name. That name is Jane. So that's a third person from 1801. Anything significant that happened down here in 1801? No. I only have the commonality of those two names that often happen down here. So here's why I think that's happening. You're walking on Belgian blocks. You guys have heard of limestone because you're into the paranormal, right? It's supposed to stir things up. That's because it comes straight from the earth. Belgian blocks are made of granite, also straight from the earth. So these are pure granite that we're stepping on right now. Anything that actually comes straight from the earth like that is that either stir things up if it moves around, kind of like limestone, because it does change a little bit. But any stone that stays in a long place for a long period of time, which these were laid in the late 1790s, holds the history and replays the consciousness of memories. So again, it's like we're watching a movie on a loop. And again, I can't pinpoint the day when it's going to happen. I look at moon phases to try to line things shit up. I can't do it. It's just every 6 to 7 weeks. That's usually the time frame. So I just look within that time frame and make see what's going to pop up. The fact that you heard John and I had Ben yesterday, again, I can't make it up. So I'm not surprised. Now, they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks, and they found some of these people's tools and their clothing and that kind of thing. So unlike the Pinky Mansion, where they've never done a dig, were able to classify these people as lower class. It makes complete sense that the rich are not going to live down here. Here's why. The other part of the wall was on the other side of East Bay Street, across the street from where we were. So the smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. I've never smelled low tide before. It's pretty often. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you guys have been down to the Battery, you've noticed that the houses are skinny in the front and they go long backwards. They're that way for a couple of reasons. So the first reason is it helps keep the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas here. That's basically a porch with a door on it. So that the smell is going to hit the door and not come into the house. They would open up the second story window, and the cool air from the water is going to come into the house, and cool air drops and heat rises. It's old school.
Water?
Yeah.
I heard water.
Well, there was a lot of flooding out there.
I heard water on there.
Interesting.
So I
Well,
asked you.
John was also a mariner.
What?
A mariner.
Where's that?
He's a fisherman.
Oh.
The wharfs would have been right there.
Oh. That is, sorry.
That's okay.
I know what a fisherman
I'm not
is.
biting your head off. So what do you-
Also, when you were talking, it looked like something appeared behind you, but then it faded away.
Oh, he's just security. He's just checking out. We'll get out of his way because he's got to scan some windows.
What was that, Mike? You heard what?
How you doing, boss?
When he was talking, it kind of looked like a face popped up behind you, but then it just went away.
Okay, so there's definitely footage I have to watch.
Like something randomly just appeared behind you and then just.
That's good stuff.
That's really cool.
I do not set this up on cue. I think that's the first time it's ever happened out here. Like, I actually look like, what the hell? But anyway,
It's like there's some strange.
so,
Yeah.
we were talking about the houses down at the Battery. So, the other reason that they're skinny in the front is because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. So, the skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. So, they're strategically placed for a specific reason. So, the Pinckney Mansion that we just looked at sat broad. They had money. They're outside the city walls. They're probably going to get taxed more, but they're politicians and indigo farmers. They don't care. They wanted the bragging rights to show off their house. So again, I like to point out some of the architecture, just there's so much of it here, so that we kind of have a basic just when you're walking around town. Before people lived here, Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name, Lodge Alley. So it was renamed after John's actually left the alley. He had a property down towards State Street. That's why it was called Simmons Alley. It was the only property on the street at the time. But we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. Here's what I hear normally. Freemason, Mason, Brick, Illuminati. Who the hell's talking about Illuminati on the radio, first off? And the only time I ever hear it is down here. I had it 6 times last year, and I've already had it once this year. So again, it's very common to get the term Illuminati down here. So I like to linger here and give you all that history on purpose because, again, we're not asking questions. It's everything on a loop. We're hoping to capture things like faces and the name John and things like that. So the next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I cannot take you through it like what we're doing now. I've been kicked out. You guys joined the annoying group with the blinky lights and the noisemakers and that kind of thing. It is residential at the end. Now, you're allowed to tour up to halfway, but I already told you that Charleston allows us to tour up to 20 people at a time, which most companies like Bulldog will do that. They'll max out your tours on purpose. It's not fair for my 10 people to try to work around 20 to 40 people to try to investigate space. However, I still tell the story like outside of the alley because we still stir a lot of shit up just by talking about it. So it's kind of like he's there and he knows I'm coming, so he's going to give us stuff through the rest of the night because we're going to stay relatively close to that alley. I told you, things like to bleed over a little bit. So again, sometimes it can be hard to tell what's coming from where. But I definitely have to write down John that you heard, and then of course I have to make a note to myself to watch this footage of while we're in here. I will tell you why I got kicked out of the alley once we're there. It'll make a whole lot more sense because it's kind of a prenup to where we're going. So it's one of those kind of things. So you guys all seem like you're having a blast, by the way, which is always nice for me. Like I'm not worried, like at the end of the night, that somebody's going to leave me some stupid 1-star review because they didn't understand anything that was going on. And I do get that, by the way. There are some groups where I'm like, they're a hard read. You guys are all smiles, all like curiosity, all the like really focused things. Like, are you kidding me?
At you like.
And I know I talk fast. I'm from the north. What's that? I walked away from 6 figures to do this. I write books during the daytime, keep up with the blogging podcast as best I can based on my co-host schedule, and I take you guys to those hunting at night. So
Wait, what?
I have a master's degree in writing, I have an English degree, I have a journalism degree. Everything's all about writing for me. So when I'm doing your guys' report, you're going to see all of my notes, and you're going to think, how the hell did he do that in 2 hours? I type over 90 words a minute. So, because that's all I do.
Did you have an experience? Is that why you wanted to?
Probably from the age of 6, 7 years old up. It was kind of like I was raised Orthodox, so you don't talk about this stuff in the Orthodox religion. So later on, I was really to another family member that my grandmother knew how to read playing cards like old gypsy. So after she passed away, I really dove in deep because I'm not living at home anymore. I can do whatever the hell I want. So it just escalated from there. Now, my father, my granddad, like I've been doing this shit a long time. So, but I've always been like all my books, all about the afterlife. It's all fiction. So it's all inspired by what I do out here. But I've been writing books for 24 years now. I'm about to publish book number 8. So
Look like you're only like 25.
43.
43, yeah.
Yeah. First grandchild just popped out back in February.
You got a wrinkle on your face.
I work at night, bro. Shit. Even when I had a real job, I was working midnights.
Yeah.
My epilepsy, I have also an eye issue, so I can't see in the sun. So, like, I have to have like crazy polarized sunglasses on all the time. So I literally have been staying out of the sun most of my life. So that's why I look the way that I do.
I know.
And then I moved down to the beaches from cloudy ass Ohio.
I have one question about the camera.
Yeah.
What does the white up top mean? Like the little, like
No
the white
easy place
line.
to walk in these alleys.
Those are usually like the lines of like the outlines. It's trying to outline things for you because that does not see in 3D. So it's trying to give you white outlines of the things around you so that way you can kind of help determine what's what. So if you're pointed at this brick wall, you should have a bunch of little white lines around each brick.
Yeah.
Okay. As we exit the alley, by the way, you're going to stop your recording because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get there.
All right.
Oh, yes.
I just heard wow.
Oh, I got to write down that. That's our signature Magnolia Smiths. You'll sell it all over.
I heard flowers. I'm like, what is me? I don't care to turn me off.
Just kind of hold it, playing on a cell phone. Now, with that, this is Philadelphia Alley. And we named it that because we had to rename it. I'll tell you why. After a city that actually helped us out of one of our many, many fires. Philadelphia actually was one of those cities. It was obviously a prominent city at the time. So we renamed it. After dueling became illegal in state. Because it used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, it's gorgeous down there, by the way. It's one of the most picturesque places we have. So if you are any kind of photographer, day or night, it is gorgeous. This is one of my favorite spaces. That's why it was heartbreaking for me to get kicked out. So, but anyway, let's kind of get into this. Yeah, you're going to see a lot. What do you got going on? Unfortunately, we are not going to go through it. So,
What if I?
we're going to keep it off until I get through the history, and then to our next space, we're going to keep it on pretty much the rest of the night. So,
What if I run down there and scream, get everybody else out? Will they get kicked out too?
Yeah, don't put my name on that.
I wasn't gonna put your name on it.
We all tell the same story of the same duel because it actually occurred. However, you are ghost hunting, so this is not going to be just your standard ghost story. The keywords in here are going to be a lot different than the things you would hear from another tour. Again, most tours actually go down there. There's a duel. Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with that cash flow, and the attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. Do you know how hard it is to keep all of these damn characters straight at every location? God, I can't even remember my own damn characters, but I got all these names down pat. But anyway, he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor because he thinks that he's just after her money. So, to prove that he's not, the doctor moves to Charleston. He's going to start his practice down here after he finishes up his basically apprenticeship of being a doctor. He comes down here, and the coachman that brings him into town sets him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. So, somebody walking by, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I. shows up here all the time. If nothing else, we'll get the R. Now the R, we still need that secondary clue because now we're dealing with two main characters, Ralph and the doctor, so we need to know who it belongs to. However, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. So he said, I got some friends at 59 Church Street, and you can stay there. There were some friends of mine. 59 Church Street is also known as the Thomas Rose House. See where I kind of put all that together from You Heard Roses earlier? Roses, you're very good at it. You're going to keep it. Now, the word rose will show up here quite a bit, as will the number 59. The doctor takes Ralph up on the offer and rents the room from Ralph's friends, and the doctor and Ralph become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. He's proving his point. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to stop there again. Every haunted city you ever will go to has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor. Go with it. So,
All right.
now, here's what goes on from there. Ralph and the doctor go see plays together because they're friends, but the doctor makes more money.
Love y'all. Did my
So
best.
he cannot sit next to his friend in the theater. The doctor gets better seats. That's the way the hierarchy went. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare. No tour guide can tell you which theater because there were dozens at the time. And they start arguing about the new actress that was here. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. It gets even uglier when Ralph starts.
He made it.
What happened?
A cat ran across the room, the
What
road.
color was he?
Right there, it's right there.
So there's a cat that liked to visit me at our last stop, and I named him Jack. You guys will find out why later.
I just named my kitten Jack.
You kidding me?
Captain Jack Sparrow.
It's a pirate story.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah,
Back to the
didn't
doctor. Before I start
named my
confusing all of your
kitten.
stories together. Where was I? Oh, they're arguing about the new actors. It gets even uglier. Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée Amanda back home in Rhode Island. So they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees that jerk move of an ad, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueller's Alley. I settle this. Someone's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to shoot his friend. He wanted to make a point and show that he's willing to forgive. Shooting your gun in the air or into the ground was a common practice for dueling, by the way. Again, not every duel ends in death. However, Ralph still has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die. He falls to the ground. His friends pick him up and carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So they say as you walk through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, standing outside the alley just a few weeks ago, you guys all familiar with the song Guns N' Roses' Patience, with the whistling in the background? Came up. The next night, there was another song by Maroon 5 with the whistling. I don't know what the name of the song is, but it's the song with the whistles in it. Yeah. Came through the next night. We still get whistles even outside of here. So again, it just depends on how we do it. It could be coming through your regular audio, it could be coming through in a song format from the spirit box. We never know. But they say as you walk through there, you can also hear gunshots. I have no proof of gunshots. If you guys are going to walk down there on your own time without a tour guide, turn on your voice recorders from your phones and listen to it later. Keep in mind, everybody that's local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland, which is where we are now, or Queen Street on the other side, is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We end there, my garage is right there. So again, I pass the alley on the way. So when my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to actually throw the whistle first. So do it because I got kicked out. I want to throw off all the other tours. So, did I say that out loud? Shit, I did. So, at any rate, here's why I got kicked out. This is where it gets fun. So, at the end is a beautiful mansion, right? I want to say it's like 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. Beautiful place. The address is Philadelphia Alley. I'm not supposed to be going all the way through it. I didn't know. I played the stupid card because, again, I think it was within my first couple of months of actually being a tour guide. I didn't know all the boundaries yet. So, here's what happened. The bricks on the other side are older. Why? Because this alley didn't always come all the way through. It was actually used to hold livestock at one point, called Cow Alley, long before it was Philadelphia, or before Duller's Alley. So those bricks on the other side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. We have one full handprint and a couple of fingerprint swipes in those bricks. Those kids have to turn those bricks in the sun to keep them baked. So that's how they were made. That handprint is right outside the dining room window of that gentleman that lives there. The new guy. The old guy was fine. He thought it was kind of like a Charleston put it there to show off history. No, they're in 3 different spaces of Charleston. They're real. So, can't mistake it. And it's small. It's definitely a small child's handprint. However, everybody wants to put an EMF meter or a spirit box there. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that damn brick in the eye. So, I used to tell my people, we gotta move on, this is a gentleman's home. However, November 26th of 2020, he came out of screaming. My daughter was on the tour, she thought it was great, the dad was getting yelled at. Yeah. So, we went on our merry way after that. November 27th was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. November 28th was Black Friday. I'm booked solid. So, I was told that morning by the tourism office, because I got a phone call, that I needed to either reroute my tour or only go down halfway, which is the legal limit of what Charleston said. So I decided I'm going to reroute. My tickets were much cheaper, so I told my team, we're going to wing it. I don't believe in the story, but we're going to see what we're going to get out of it. I'll tell you what I know. So we go up and we start talking. I tell them I'm going to talk about this female pirate. On the way, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I haven't told them the name yet. Once we get there, somebody else hears the number 300. I have no idea what the hell that means. So I'm kind of like, all right, I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to look into it. We were there, first off, the story was about Anne Bonny, which is the same story I'm going to tell you tonight, only much more elaborate because I've done a hell of a lot more research since 2020. Now, I'm doing the research. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep going back, night and night again. It's a hit or miss location. Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town. However, we're going to be taking our chances. The story is fantastic, by the way, that I pieced together. I'm not a pirates guy. I'm a vampire guy, through and through. So this was not my thing. Pirates were the ex-wife's thing. That's why I don't like telling the story. But I don't like reading book after book about pirates, but I just bought another one. So my wife keeps half my library right now is reading pirates because I got to keep learning about them because all the stories have holes. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Anne Bonny at the last spot, but where we're going next is actually, you can stop your recording at this point, by the way. What have you heard? Because you're looking at me like you got something to tell me. Nothing? She's like, dude, you talk to the empath.
No.
It's a good thing you record everything. Yeah, hello and Anne. I'm gonna go chill by the wall and smoke. This is where you guys go to work.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I always watch the group from afar because you guys all just all are doing it. It's fantastic. I love it. Again, 3 years of watching you guys like this. It's always the same thing. All spread out a little bit.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Anything going on with yours?
I saw one thing, which when y'all were over here talking, it kind of looked like something walked towards y'all.
Okay.
Like it was walking towards y'all slowly.
Interesting. Was it blue?
Yeah, it just stopped right behind you, and then it was gone.
I definitely got to look at Lodge Alley and the footage in here. And you are recording. It is a square, right?
Yes.
Okay. How you doing on yours? Yeah, every time it goes off, it's like that reset button, and if you get the same reading, it's obviously not coming from you. That was not from you. So I would just stay put right where you're at. And can you make that color go to purple?
Not Ann.
Or Mary, whoever else might be here. You want to see the color purple, you can just get close to the metal stick there. What?
Yep, sure was.
What?
And that was like,
Maybe I chose the wrong person.
that was a weird.
Not discounting
Yeah,
the
that's kind of
everything,
that's
but
weird.
that was clear as day.
Yeah.
That's, I had the feeling. Is that me or?
Possibly. Take more steps and let's see if it makes sense. It's weird. It's doing a few steps, not one. Because, I mean, it's not like you're really jolting it around. It takes steps. What's your phone? In your purse? What?
Oh, she's still.
We want to see purple. Purple. With the pirates, I can get a little bit more stern.
Said what? Said what?
Said what again?
What? So we want to see
What do you get?
make that antenna. Touch the antenna.
Edward,
Oh, you see that?
Where did you get Edward Teach
I
from?
said touch that antenna.
over there.
I didn't know.
Were they separate?
Yeah.
Touch that antenna right there.
Do you know who that is?
Make it turn purple.
She just heard the name Edward.
Okay,
see
he
that? I
just
just
did
said-
it. He just did it.
I-
I'm not doing
I
anything.
said touch that antenna over there. Make
And
it
I
turn
have
purple.
really bad chills.
Do you know what name she just heard?
What?
Edward Teach. Do you all know who that is?
No.
That is Blackbeard's real name.
Edward Teach.
I have chills.
What's up? What's up? Edward Teach.
Oh, here it goes. What happened?
Blackbeard.
He's basically making the device go off.
Yeah.
Blackbeard, can you make this go to red? You gotta touch that metal stick for us.
I heard of what?
He just said what again?
Keeps getting what's on there. Touch the metal stick right here.
Yeah, touch that stick right there. The one that Jen's holding. Edward Beach.
Teach.
Teach. Edward Teach. Edward Teach.
Yeah, an ache.
Can you
That happens often.
Edward Teach. Can you touch the antenna that Jen's holding?
He doesn't know what an antenna is.
Make it turn purple. The little
Get
rods.
close to this black box, Blackbeard. Come on. That is crazy.
Have you ever had that one come up?
I've had those names come up separately.
Black.
Edward. You serious?
As a heart attack.
Black.
Black.
I'm a researcher. I have to know it.
What did he say?
He wasn't happy on that one. Did you say something bad about Blackbeard?
No, I just how did you know his name? Nobody knows his real
You know
name.
how many books I've read on freaking pirates? It's my job. I gotta know his real name. It's kind of like Calico Jack's real name. It's not Jack, it's John Rackham. I want to say this stopped recording terms because we have over 100. And we have some really good stuff pop up, by the way. I might go over that before.
Okay, I'll say the word suffocate. I don't know that has anything to do with anything.
Is that right?
And Die Hard.
Do you know how Blackbeard was killed?
No?
He was beheaded.
Seriously?
Seriously. They had to take his head back to prove that he was dead.
I think they hung him.
They did. This is Blackbeard.
Didn't they use his head as a trophy?
Well, they had to have proof that Blackbeard was dead. So when they took it back to England, it was a matter of he basically put the head on the front of the ship to prove that he was actually dead.
So it was used to prove to people that they killed one of the strongest pirates.
Correct.
To give a fair warning not to mess with them.
Not necessarily. It was kind of like he had a bounty on his head. So the bounty hunter took back the head to prove that he did the job. Got anything else going on over there?
I heard head.
We were just talking about how he was beheaded.
Head. That's
Captain Teach. Touch the metal stick right here. Make it go to red for us. If you touch it, it'll make the red light come on.
show him, Nick.
Just like that.
Just like that. That's it, Edward. That's it, Edward. Just like that.
You okay with the ghost being that close?
Just
to you?
like that. I think it's amazing. She's pretty, isn't she?
Message.
Watch
He's
your
using you
hands.
as bait. You know that, right?
Watch your hands, Blackbeard. Watch those hands. That's pretty cool. Can you do it again? That was awesome. Let's try.
Typical man.
So Blackbeard actually raided Charleston at one point, looking for medicine for the syphilis he got from one of his many wives. So he's been here. He knows the city.
What?
What are you up to, Edward?
I think Chris made a friend.
Show them your tattoos, Chris.
He's talking to people. Talk to us.
I'll let you guys have a few more minutes because I want to see what else April's going to come up with. We obviously have the evidence coming out of these two, but I want some more out of you. Your camera likes to mess up in here, by the way. So let me know if you see any white, crazy lines coming through the screen, kind of like an old television.
It has like a few, but it's not a lot. Like, I don't know if those are white lines or not, but right here.
No, it would actually look like parallel white lines, like going through the whole frame, and they would be moving down. It happens
Okay.
here every once in a while.
I know it did that over there in that corner.
Okay.
When I was pointing in the dark, that's what it did.
And obviously, you were recording. Maybe to check it out.
Like, but it only happened if I looked
Water?
up a little bit.
I asked him what he loved. He loved
Yeah, I think we just had that in the wrong pair of hands tonight.
yeah, he loved.
I almost asked you to switch before. I feel like we ever switch.
Her device has definitely calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you pull April back over here, and we'll kind of get this party wrapped up.
Hey, bring your friends.
Momo.
Like,
He said to come back this way.
Huh?
He said come back this way.
The word stomach just came up.
stomach.
And killed that slave with a back.
Oh, and
Unfortunately, this stops recording after 100 terms, and we are up to 116. So I took a screenshot of it, so that way I can add it to your guys' data, because that one's
Okay.
definitely relevant. All right, let's get this part. Now, what do you got?
I don't know.
I
don't
saw
know how to say
one
it.
last thing when I was coming back from getting her.
Okay.
It looked like somebody was standing behind Chris.
maybe that's Edward Teach, maybe.
Like
Edward,
just standing back there.
I
Edward,
can't
come
say
stand
it.
behind me, please.
Start with the B.
Blackbeard. Come stand behind
Okay.
me.
It was a weird name.
And come touch this rod again, just like this. Touch it. Touch it one more time. Blackbeard.
All right.
Just one more time. Well, I just wanted you to get a picture. Get a picture with me. And put your head behind me. It worked.
Like I said, it happens.
Say something, man. Say something.
All right, Chris. Michael.
All right, Edward.
Come
It's
on
your
over.
last chance. Forever hold your peace right now.
Slow
Speak.
down. So,
Good
I'd like
night.
to show you what Ann looked like.
Good night, Blackbeard.
Good night, Blackbeard. Sleep tight, my friend. This is one of the few pictures I can find of Ann. Go ahead and mute that.
Okay.
A few pictures I can find of
that
Ann
nice
with an
one?
actual shirt on. Like, she used to like to bare her breasts to show men that she
Yeah.
was just that they were just killed by a woman.